Hi everyone. Okay, so this is Sessions with Chevy, and I'm gonna take you through some basic tutorials in animation. Pretty much everyone who does animation need to ensure that they do these tutorials, right? So we're gonna do pendulum, we're gonna do bouncing ball, we're gonna do two-leg walk cycle, two-leg run cycle, wave cycle, and flour sack. Flour sack is my favorite one, right? But before we start doing these tutorials, I'm gonna have to take you through some prep work, right? So I'm gonna show you how to analyze videos, your reference videos. Reference videos are very, very important. For my Spanish speaking friends, muy importante, right? We're also gonna use an awesome app called Stop Motion Studio. It's available on Android, it's available on iOS and Windows as well. Can you imagine? Majority of the time the apps are only available on Android. It's available on Android, iOS and Windows, right? So you know it's an awesome app. I'm gonna show you how to create pencil tests and eventually look at Toon Boom Harmony, developing these animation using Toon Boom Harmony. This is my hope. I'm not making any promises, okay? So if later on you see the videos and you go, oh, there's only one version, Chevy, how could you do that? You're listening, right? My hope is we're gonna have it in 3 versions of Harmony. So 10.3, 14 and 15, right? That's the hope. But if not, it would be one of them and probably be either 14 or 10.3. All right, so let's do this. Let's get some animations done, and I'm hoping that we'll take this journey together and you can leave with something awesome or great. All right. All right, so finally we get to some prep work, and one of the things that you need to learn is analyzing your reference videos. Now my go-to tool is Photoshop, but really you can use any video production software, but Photoshop, I'm very comfortable with it, and so that's what I'm gonna show you how to use. You can also use Toon Boom Harmony to analyze your reference videos, right? Now, reference videos are very important. Animation is all about simulating real life. So, in order to simulate real life, we need to know what real life looks like, right? So, get yourself in the practice of, well, not get yourself in the practice. My sessions requires that you have reference videos. So, you will be getting in the practice of creating reference videos, right? And so you shoot them and then you can carry them into a software like Photoshop or Toon Boom Harmony, analyze it so you get an understanding as to what the motion is, and then we use that information to create our animation. Sounds fair? All right, let's move on to Photoshop so you can take a look at what I'm talking about. Okay, welcome to analyzing a reference video using Adobe Photoshop. Today I'm using Photoshop CS6. I'm using, in front of me I have my keyboard, and I'm also using my drawing tablet to assist me. The first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna drag my video into Adobe Photoshop, and I'm gonna change the settings to do frame instead of video. So right now it's on frames. I can create a new layer. Let me just do that right now. I can call it analysis. Okay, and I want analysis to be outside of the video group, right? All right, next thing I'm gonna do, see there too, it is not at the beginning frame like how I want it. All right. And I also, so this little button here, I can toggle between it looking like videos. Let me just open this out a little bit more. Right, maybe not. I can use it to toggle between looking like a video board or frame animation. So I'm just going to click on that button. Okay. And so now, or do I, you know what, let's toggle back. All right. So as you can see, I have a empty layer on top and I have the video below, and I make sure that that empty layer is not inside the video group. All right. So we can actually press play. Oh dear, there's audio on this as well. So let me just, where are you? Let me just, it's not showing it. So let's turn off the audio. There we go. Let's just make it smaller again. All right, so we should be fine now. There we go. All right. So a lot of times what you do is you shoot your own reference videos, and it's important to do this so that way you can analyze what's happening. And as you notice, it gives us the frame numbers at the top. So frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, frame 4. And you want to work with the whole numbers and not like half a frame or something like that, right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna mark off at frame 1, we're gonna mark off what's happening at frame 2, frame 3, so on and so forth, right? Oh, this is moving way too fast. All right, I'm also gonna highlight analysis layer. I'm gonna change my color to red, only because red is sort of bright and it's easier for us to mark off, right? So all I'm doing, I'm pressing play and then I pause. And I'm gonna scrub across. All right, so we're gonna wait until it swings back. There we go. And I can mark off. Sorry, I'm not on my brush tool. Command D to deselect, or Control D if you're using your PC. So I'm just marking off. Oh, this is too low an opacity. This is too small. Let's increase the size. There we go. And we can even change the brush style. So I had one that it's a little bit fuzzy on the end, so I'm gonna change it. And you know what, let's dial it back down to like 50. I could have even typed in the numbers if I wanted to. Enter. All right, there we go. Actually, let me just start afresh. Eraser tool was on a different brush. All right, there we go. So now brush tool, and let us just make it much smaller that way. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna scrub along the timeline, and I'm gonna try and pick up those key poses. So the first marker was when it was heading in one direction. Marked it again when it's decided to change direction, right? And I'm gonna mark it off again when it's changing direction. There we go. Right, about here. Now the camera is moving, and so that's why we're not gonna get a very accurate reading for this analysis. As a matter of fact, I think what we should do is use it because the camera is gonna move back down. There we go. I think we should start from frame 6. Yeah, from there. All right, so let's erase again. and we should get a better form of analysis now. So I'm going to mark off where it starts, it changes direction, mark it again, oh dear, it went higher this time. Let's mark that as 3. 1, 2, alright, and the highest point again. I believe this is happening because the camera is moving. And sometimes this happens with reference videos. But it's not the action that I want us to get. It's just how it is that we analyze this information. That's it. Oh my, this one is a terrible one. And as we can see, the camera is moving, and that's the reason why. I should have used a different one. But as you can see, we can actually mark off what's happening with this reference, and anything that it is, whether it was the pendulum, whether it was the bouncing ball, or any other animations that we're doing, or any new animations, something that you've never done in class, you can actually bring in the video into Photoshop and analyze it by marking onto the video directly. Another cool thing is that other software that you could have used would have been Adobe Photoshop, or TV Paint, or even Toon Boom Harmony. You can do this analysis. Now, what's important to make note of in this analysis, it's tracking the body that is moving, how it's moving, and how much time, how many frames passes by for that action to be done. That's the information that we're going to use when replicating our animations. And if you notice too, what principles of animations are coming out. So eventually you would have noticed that the animation is on an arc, and so we would have been able to eventually mark off that arc. And right now we don't have a consistent arc because the camera was moving, and this is something that is very important. It's not the most ideal video, but it teaches us something that we need to ensure that the video is still when we're taking these references, right? So that we can analyze it very well. That wasn't so bad, was it? But wasn't that also cool? You can actually draw on top of a video, right? So that's something that you can do with Photoshop. It's in the recent installations of Photoshop, I think from, if it's not CS2, it's CS4 that you can start doing that with. And you can actually do it in TV Paint as well. TV Paint is a really nice animation software, right? And you can also do it in Toon Boom Harmony. So get your practice on, start shooting videos. It doesn't matter what you use to shoot the videos. Use your phone, use a DSLR camera, use a more sophisticated camera. But what you need to start doing is observing motion, recording those observations, and then analyzing those observations. All right? We can't be good animators if we don't know what real motion looks like. All right? Hey, so finally we're at the second part of prepping for the sessions, right? And one of the things that you'll be creating are pencil tests. And as you would assume, you'd have to use a pencil, right? So I want to show you some of the equipment that you would need to use for creating your pencil tests. All right, so take a look with me. All right, so my first thing I want to talk to you guys about is my awesome light board. Are you seeing that? You see how thin that is? Light boards used to be this huge thing with this huge bulb inside. I love this guy. I found it on Amazon, Lightbox, and as you can see, it has a power cord, so I can just turn it on. It has a USB end. Right now I don't have it plugged into a computer, so you can't see, but I can press the power button and it gives me 3 lighting settings and then off. So it's pretty cool. While using my light box, I use my glove, right? And sometimes you'd notice us animators, we also use the glove when we're using our drawing tablets. But for now, you can use the same glove with your light box, right? And it just helps to make sure that it doesn't pick up the information, it doesn't scratch the light box at the same time. Now, don't get these gloves confused with pool gloves. Pool gloves, the first 2 fingers are covered, and with drawing tablet gloves, the last 2 fingers are the ones that are covered, right? All right, so that's a glove. I don't know, anybody remember this thing? Comes in this thing called a geometry set. That's the correct word, right? Geometry set, right? I believe this one is called a protractor. It looks like a half moon. This is the only time that I would require you, and you don't have to. It's not something that you must use. I only allow my students to use protractors when creating arcs. Everything else has to be freehand. What? Yes, you need to get your drawing practice on. Same thing with the compass. It's one of the few things that I'll allow you to use. No, we don't use it when we're creating the ball, for the bouncing ball or the pendulum. You have to draw those things freehand. I know, what a wicked lecturer. Right? We need pencils, drawing pencils, and here I have a regular pencil with a lead point, and then I have 2 others, one with a blue point and one with a red point. So 3 pencils that I'm using here. A nice large eraser. You can see that I use this a lot, right? So a nice large eraser, 2-hole punch, right? Pop, 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 punch. These are called fasteners, and I'm using them in conjunction with the 2-hole punch. And fasteners, how they work is you punch the paper, and then you stick the paper onto it first, and then you put down the fastener. Why is this thing not working with me today? You put down the fastener, fasten it down, move those 2 types, and easy peasy, you have it locked in place, right? And I'll tell you why it is that I'm using these equipment, but sometime a little later from now. And then of course, if we're gonna be drawing, we need paper, right? Nice amount of blank sheets of paper, okay? A lot of blank paper. We're gonna be creating some pencil tests, and trust me when I say this is all for your benefit. I know most of you want to jump on the computer immediately and go, oh, I'm an animator, but trust me, okay? You're going to be creating some awesome stuff. So don't worry about it. Use the paper, use the pencil. We're going to create the pencil test first, and then we're going to move on to the computer. And you're going to find after a while, those pencil tests are going to help you. They're going to save you a lot when developing your animations. All right. Hi. So still continuing with prep work. Oh my goodness, like this lady is just making us do a lot of prep work, and we're not getting to the exciting stuff of doing these animations, right? Don't worry, we'll soon get there. All right, so I want to tell you about this awesome software, this awesome app called Stop Motion Studio, right? Now before, what I used to do to my students would be to have them draw on the paper, and then they would have to scan each one of the papers, and then now they bring it into Photoshop, and they would add some timing to it, and then they would get this animation, the pencil test. And then I was introduced to Stop Motion Studio, and now I no longer stress out my students with all that activity, right? So all that you need to do is draw on the paper and then use Stop Motion Studio to take photos of the paper, and within the app you are able to add the timing, tell it how much frames per second, and generate either a GIF or a video from it, or I should say or a video from it. So you see, I am looking out for you guys, right? So I found something that makes the process much simpler and easier. So let me show you how to use Stop Motion Studio now. Let's take a look. All right, welcome. This is a demonstration of Stop Motion Studio. I'm just gonna click back. Now, as I said to you before, you can download this app on your Android device, your iOS device, and even your Windows machine. I know, right? So once you install it, you actually get this welcome animation, and you get this plus new movie. So you just simply click on plus new movie. I'm using my phablet right now, and the subject of my animation is my headset, right? It's very simple. So I clicked on the plus a while ago, and I line up the shot. Now the most important thing is to try and keep the phone or the device in place, right? Line up the shot, take your photo. Yeah? Move the object. As it says, it's called Stop Motion Studio. So it's really used to do stop motion animation. And take the next photo. And then move it a little. Take another photo. I'm gonna do about 6 or 7 of these. So I've gone 3 already. Move it a little more. Take another photo. Move it a little more. Take another photo. Last one. Move it a little bit more. And take another photo. And you actually, so I can go through the shots. I can press play and see what it looks like. I can press play and see what it looks like. So let me just pause that. I can even click on a single photo. Well, I could do this on my iDevice, but you know how these apps go when you move from so I can click on a single device. You can add text, audio, erase, draw. I don't usually use these, just so that you know. What I do use is if I need to delete a photo, or I can copy a photo and paste it somewhere else, right? When I'm ready and I'm like, okay, this is what I want, I press back and it gives me the movie. I can actually give it a title. So not my first movie, but let me see. Stop Motion Studio Demo. No man, that's too long to type. Stop. Stop Motion Studio Demo. Okay. See, it gives me the title, and then now I can share it, and it says to me, do I want to export it as a movie? Do I want to export it as a GIF? Do I want it as all images, or just simply save the project, right? I can go back in there and edit it if I need to. Now, one of the cool things that we found out about Stop Motion Studio is that, let me see if that was where we found it. We can even set the frames per second for the animation. So you see the gear, the settings gear. I can actually set how many frames per second, and that's gonna either speed up or slow down the animation. So it's a really nice animation tool. Right? Now, for the purposes of my classes, we're going to be using this to create the pencil test. but I'm just giving you a demo of it so you have an idea as to what stop motion studio is like. Now, I must warn you, you can add by paying a little additional for some additional features. So you can record audio directly into it. You can take the photos otherwise. So maybe on something that is more advanced, like a DSLR camera, and then import the images and blah blah blah. But yeah, that is the demo on Stop Motion Studio. Bye. So wasn't that easy? I mean, Stop Motion Studio, right? All you need to do now is to download it onto your Android device, your iOS device, or your Windows device. I'll tell you a secret. I have it on all. I have a Android device, I have my iPhone, and I have a Surface, and I have it on all of them. It is that awesome, guys. So download it now so that we can get these pencil tests done. All right. All right, so introduction to Harmony. Now, these are things that I want to prepare you for how to use Harmony and how to set up your preferences. So if you already know this, you can always skip this video, right? But the preferences are very important, and these are just some simple tips on how to use the drawing tools and how to navigate through Harmony. So let's take a look. Alright, so this video is just to give you an introduction to Toon Harmony and how to set the preference and how to use some of the tools, okay? So if you have my notes, you'll see that I have some preferences set up, or suggested preferences, and how you get to your preferences. So before we get there, most of the time Harmony will ask you, do you want to work offline or on a server? If you're working individually, say you work offline, if the computers are connected via a server, you can always say server. You know, project directory, click on the folder and you tell it where you want to save the project. You can give it a name. So I'm gonna call mine Intro to Harmony. And as you can see, once I press the space bar, it automatically gives me an underscore. Now you can, depending on where you want to distribute this production or this scene, you use various different settings. So PAL is usually used for television in Europe. NTSC is usually used in North America and Jamaica. And some of the others, depending on the version that you are in. So I'm in 10.3. These are the options of 10.3. But in 15, you get a lot more options. My suggestion is just investigate what these different options are and the results that you'll get from those different options. If you notice, the width and the height changes based on the setting that you choose. So I'm just using HDTV, no preference, because this is just a demonstration. Create, and you get into this workspace that you can create a scene. Oh my goodness. All right, let's go again. All right, let's call it Harmony. HDTV, create. There we go. And so now you have an interface that you can work with. Right. As I said, I'm using 10.3. The newer versions 14 and 15. It's more of a dark gray instead of a light gray, right? Now, even the notes that I'm giving you, I use Adobe. I use Toon Boom. I use Toon Boom Animate Pro 3.0. So you're gonna see the icon looks different, but it's the same software. Okay. All right. So once I enter Harmony, I turn off Running Man. That's that icon there. Running Man is used when you're animating. So if you're not in animate, once you're drawing, you turn off Running Man, and once you begin to animate, you can turn on Running Man. Okay, so to find the preferences, if you're using a PC, you'd click on Edit, and then at the lower end you'll see Preferences. On the Mac, however, you click on Stage and then Preferences, and as you can see, I give you a guide. So you have the shortcuts guide. Always make sure it says Toon Boom Harmony. Okay, do not change it to Flash. The next slide shows us the General tab and gives us some information as to what we should. And as you can see, I have them highlighted so you can go through. See, it's just to make sure that the different settings are done. All right. Yeah. So you have different settings. Now I want to introduce you to the workspace. So cancel. Now this is what the workspace looks like. As you can see up here, this is my camera view. So I have a view here, and then I have some other little tabs around the place. And you're gonna see that we can actually change up this view. We have our toolbar on the left, and then we have some additional icons at the top. Right now, for Harmony 14 and for Harmony 15, the icons pretty much look the same, but they might be located in a different place. So you just have to look out for them, okay? I know for sure that the toolbar is still on the left, but there are some different things. So these icons here, some of them are on the right. So you have to look out, especially with Harmony 15. Okay, so up here, you know, you guys should know what these are. And once you hover over it, it tells you what it is, right? So you get an idea as to what this section is. This also should look a little bit familiar. See, play. Now some of the buttons, maybe not so much. Repeat, okay. We also have a section here that says what frame number we are on, and the start of our animation, the stop of our animation, and how many frames per second we are working with. Then workspaces, as right now you can see it's set to default. We can click on the drop down menu and we can put it in hand-drawn animation, which changes the interface. We can put it in compositing, which again changes the interface. And where are you? Okay, I just need to open the window a little bit more to get those additional options. There we go. And animating changes the windows once again, right? So I'm gonna set it to default. If you're not using your personal machine, please do not change up the workspace. We can actually change the workspace if we'd like to. So right now I can add another tab beside camera by clicking the arrow. And as you can see, they're in alphabetical order. So I can say, I want module library. Now in 15, it is called, I think in 14 and 15, it is actually called node library, but it's the same information. And there it is. I can now switch through the different tabs. Now what I want to make sure that you do is for the camera tab, make sure the camera tab is highlighted. In 14 and 15, instead of a drop down arrow, there's actually a plus sign. So right beside camera, I want you to right click, and as you can see, camera view, and some additional options will come up on camera. For timeline as well, I want you to have timeline active, and then just right click. Oh, that's not it. Where are you? All right, let's look for it. Windows. All right, and timeline view is active. We can also go to Windows, work toolbars, and advanced animation. you're gonna want those. So you want camera view to be active, you want advanced animation to be active, and you definitely want timeline view to be active as well. All right, let me just make sure I'm not forgetting stuff, because I always forget stuff. Told you about those. All right, I'll tell you about that. And let's go back to Harmony. In Harmony 14 and 15, it doesn't say network, it actually has node view. So the option is called node view, but it looks the same, it's the same functionality. So we have node library and we have node view in 14 and 15, right? All right, and then I have two more things to tell you about. All right, in 10.3, we have some options below the camera window, and I want to make note of these two. One is called line art and one is called color art. We're going to be using these a lot. In 14 and 15, they've eliminated overlay art and underlay art, so I won't speak about those, okay? And in 14 and 15, line art and color art are actually on the right inside the camera view. All right, we can actually make adjustments to our workspace. So, you know, here's a cool way that you can actually click on a tab and move it. So you see it's highlighting that. There's a little highlight telling you where it will drop, right? So if I want it there, I can drop it there, right? If I want it elsewhere, I can drop it somewhere else. Lots of places that you can rearrange your workspace how you want, and you can actually save that workspace. I'm not gonna do it here because this is not my personal machine, but you can go to workspace, Windows, then workspace, and then save workspace as, and you give it a name. So in this example in my notes, it actually says Chevy because I saved that workspace as Chevy, right? All right, so a little bit more on, well, yes, we already turned on advanced animation. So let's use some of the drawing tools. Let's use some of the drawing tools. So as I said, we had our toolbars on the left. So we have some of the popular ones that we'll be using. There is the selection tool, and as you would assume, it selects. If we hold down the left mouse button, so you notice there's a little black triangle to the bottom right hand corner of this tool. That tells us that there are more tools there. In 14 and 15, it would be a light gray triangle. So that just means with left mouse, hold down the left mouse button on the tool, and additional tools will pop up, right? Another tool that will be popular that we'll be using a lot is the cutter tool. This one is called the contour editor, and we can also use the pencil editor. That's another popular one. We'll use the brush tool. I don't use the pencil tool a lot, but I'll demonstrate how you use it. We have the type tool, eraser, paint, and on paint tools, we have the drawing tool. So you have line, rectangle, ellipse, and polyline. Polyline is like the pen tool in Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator. All right, so let us go through these different tools now. All right, and these tools are used in tandem with the tool properties window. So you are working with a tool, and say I've activated a tool. Let's say paint. I can go to tool properties, and in the tool properties window, it gives me additional options in regards to that tool. If I change the tool properties changes. So yeah, contour editor, the tool properties changes, right? All right, so the brush tool, fairly simple, great to make freeform drawings. So brush tool, I can have it as black, Right, and there it is. Let me say brush, and there's a reason why I'm using brush. All right, let's use our, well, I'm using my drawing tablet, so I don't have to activate the eraser. I just simply spin around my pen and I erase. Let's make the eraser a little bit bigger. Maybe 100. There we go. Activate my brush tool again, and let's just erase. There we go. All right. I'm just making sure I'm checking the slides so that I don't miss anything. There's also the pencil tool, which is also good for free form. So that's it. It looks like a pencil, and I'm just gonna type pencil so we can eventually see what's the difference between the brush tool and the pencil tool, right? All right, we have the different shapes tools. So let me show you what's the difference with these shape tools. So we have line, and it allows us to draw a line. Of course, as I said, we can change some options. So if you wanted to change the type of pencil being used, the size of the pencil, lots of stuff that you can do with a pencil. If you wanted with a straight line, sorry, if you wanted with a line tool, if you wanted a straight line, we can hold down the shift key and then the left mouse button and drag. And actually it's at an angle, so depending, as you can see, it's snapping to an angle, right? All right. Command Z to undo. All right. Rectangle tool, fairly explanatory, and I hold on the shift key and I get a perfect square. I have the ellipse tool, and again I draw a left mouse button and drag, release, and again if I hold on the shift key, get a perfect circle. Now the polyline, it behaves like the pen tool in Adobe Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator, but it's not exactly the same. So if I want straight, if I want sharp edges, I just simply need to click and release, right? If I want curves, I left mouse click, I hold down the mouse, move it, and then I release. I left mouse button, hold it down, move it, and release. Now I like a little bit of control with my curves, so I like to kill, that's what I say. Yes, I like to kill one of those handles. If you notice, there were two handles on it. So right now there are no points selected, so I need to click back on that point to select it. And then again, so you see the two handles, right? And if I want to kill one of those angles, I simply click on it, click again if I want to continue around. All right, now the polyline can be a little bit intimidating, especially sometimes it doesn't connect the line. So right now it seems like this line is connected, but it possibly isn't. So I can use a contour editor to manipulate nodes, and as I can see right now, these two aren't connected. So I can go to the tool properties for the contour editor, and I can activate the snap to contour option, and I'm just gonna snap it, and now it is one complete line. And it seems like this isn't connected either. Yep. And snap it into place. All right, everything now is connected. Awesome. All right, and that's what the contour editor does. It allows you to select nodes in an object. The one that is white, that is the one that is selected. If I wanted to select more than one node, I could hold down the shift key and select more than one node. I can also select the lines. I can also select the lines between the nodes. So you notice now the line is highlighted. I can even press the delete key, or I can convert it to a curve just by holding down the left mouse button and dragging. And now you see I get those handlebars that I can manipulate, right? If I want to manipulate only one side, so you notice there are two handlebars right now, I can hold down the Alt key or the Option key and just simply manipulate one side, right? Alright, that's the contour editor. Not ready for the pencil editor just yet. And I gave you all the shapes, yes. Alright, so we can manipulate these shapes using the pencil editor. So I just showed you the contour editor. So let's take a look at the pencil editor. I was just about to say I think I selected the wrong tool. Alright, oh, I forgot to show you. So with the contour editor, I can also add new points by holding down either the Command key for the Mac or Control key for the PC and add more points as well. So even in the curve, I can add more points to it if I so desire. In the pencil editor, we get these nodes, but we can now manipulate the shape of these lines. Pretty awesome, right? And right now I'm manipulating only one side. If I wanted to manipulate both of them at the same time, I simply hold down the Shift key and there we go. And this can be done if we wanted to add more points. I can again hold down the Command key or Control key for the PC and open up these points. Interesting stuff, right? Alright, the cutter tool. Now the cutter tool works when two objects intersect with one another. So for instance, I'm gonna draw two more stuff because I don't, and a line, and as you can see they're intersecting. And this is one of the cool things with Toon. So I can now, all I did was left mouse button, drag over property, and it deletes the information where they have been intersected. Alright, so that's the cutter tool. It cuts stuff, right? Alright, I briefly mentioned underlay and overlay already. Line art and color art. And as I said, if you're in the versions 14 and 15, it will be on the right, somewhere in that section. Alright, so let's do an exercise, which I already started doing. Sometimes I jump the gun. Oh, there's another thing I wanted to show with the pencil editor that makes it different. What makes the pencil different from... Alright, so you notice when I select the pencil, we have nodes available. When I select the brush, this is not a node, so let me zoom in. I'm using 2 on the keyboard to zoom in, and I'm using 1. I can use 1 to zoom out. And then I'm using the space bar, holding on the space bar and moving my left mouse button to move the screen, right? So I'm gonna zoom in again. So I'm using the contour editor and I select the brush, and as you can notice, this is not one single line, it's actually a fill. While with the pencil, anything that's created with a pencil, it's actually a single line. And that's the difference between the pencil tool and the brush tool. Again, I can manipulate the shape of the pencil using the pencil tool, and on the brush, it's not allowing me to select the brush drawing using the pencil editor, right? So that's one of the main differences between the pencil tool and the brush tool. All right, So I'm just gonna select all of these, and I had set my preferences where my select tool is a lasso. So all I have to do is just draw a bounding box around everything, press the delete key, and so let's do this exercise. So we can create an ellipse. This is just demonstrating, this is still on. This is just demonstrating how you can use the brush tool, the cutter tool. Because I always jump the gun. As I was saying to you before, we can use the cutter tool to get rid of the top and these sides, right? Now, one of the nasty things with the cutter tool, though, I'm gonna zoom in so that you can see it. One of the nasty things with the cutter tool, you notice the edges are jagged, right? So what we can do, we can select both items, and we can go to the tool properties once the select tool is on, and we can set the start and the end to round. And what will happen is you'll notice now the edges are nice and round, right? And Toon Boom still remain, you still can select these objects separately as well. So let me zoom out again using one. All right. And I demonstrated contour tool and Bezier tool already. Now the paint tool can only be used in a closed path. So what do I mean by a closed path? Let's go back to our harmony. So paint tool, and I'm gonna use a different color so that you can see the difference. Click inside, and because the path is closed, it fills it. Now if I created another shape, let's say the rectangle. I created a rectangle. I use my contour editor, click on the line, delete. So as you can see, this is an open path. They're not connected, right? If I use the paint tool and try to paint inside, it will not paint because it is open. So a lot of times you might think that the path is closed and it's not. In that case, if it is not, so okay, all right. In the case where the path is not closed, so let me add another point. I'm gonna delete here. So in the case where the path is not closed, you can use the contour editor, snap to, but you'd have to go through it, and that's what the snap to contour does. It actually closes the path for you, right? Now the next cool thing with harmony, it's that there are two different objects here. We have the fill and we have the stroke. Now I can select this fill separately. I can separate them, right? And if you're skilled enough, you can select, oh goodness, you can select the stroke separately as well. I just use my up and down arrow keys to move because it's not giving me the move option. If I try to move it now, it's gonna skew it, you see? It's gonna skew it. So I was looking for that, look at that little up, down, side to side arrow. That would give me, that will allow me to move it. For some reason, it's not allowing me to do that. So I was just using my arrow keys a while ago to do the move. All right, now I'm gonna show you how to use your color palette. So let's just select all of this again, delete. Now you're given some standard colors in your color palette, and you know what, your color palette is one of those tabs that are made available to you. Again, you can add the color palette wherever you want by clicking on the drop down arrow, or by clicking the plus if you're using 14 or 15, Harmony 14 or 15. Looks like it's up already, so it's telling me no. In 14 and 15 you can add it wherever you want. It will come up wherever, it's just being stubborn. It's just telling me that it's there already. We can add additional colors by clicking on the plus sign and then double clicking on the color and either using the color wheel, and as we know we shouldn't, we can put in the RGB code if you like. We can even set the transparency of the color, right? If we want it to be a gradient or a solid color. I do not recommend using gradients in 2D animation. And then we can give a name to the color, greenish, and simply close the window, and a new color is added. And if we want to get rid of a color, we just simply highlight it and click the minus sign and it gets rid of it. We also can add new color palettes, and this is something that we do especially when I'm doing the character rigging class. So let's say you have a character and you want specific colors to be assigned to that character. You can click on this little icon here, palettes, and then new. You give it a name, and then you can now start adding the colors that you want associated with that palette. I think I covered what I'm supposed to color. Yep. Alright, so the next thing that you can use, it would be very helpful. It's very helpful for me, especially when I'm doing rigging. It's Command and F or Control and F if you're using the PC. So what that does is it maximizes the window for you. So right now, if you look at my color palette, there's a little red line around it. If I press Command and F, it gets bigger. I press Command and F, it gets even bigger, and then Command F and it goes back to regular. Again, I can click inside my camera view, Command and F, it gets bigger, Command and F, even bigger, Command and F, back to normal. And I can do that with any one of these windows. All right, any one of them. All right, and finally now, I showed you how to open it. Now you need to know how to save your file. And it's simple. We can click save at the top, right? Or we can click file, save as. I like to say save as because sometimes you want to create incrementing versions of it. So you've created something, it's reached a certain point, it is working, you've accomplished something that's working how you want it to work. You save it first, and then you say save as, and you give it a new name, and then continue working. So if anything happens to your file, you have something to backtrack to, right? All right, so the next thing is to do the drawing exercise. All right, that's it for introducing you to Toon Boom Harmony. All right, so that wasn't so bad, was it? You might need to practice using these tools, because as you saw, that was a lot of information that I just laid on you, right? In regards to the preferences, every time you do a new installation of Harmony, you want to ensure that those preferences are set, right? And in regards to the tools that I just showed you and how to navigate through Harmony, my suggestion is just continue practicing it, using it more and more and more, so that way now you're very comfortable when you're doing your tutorials. Sound fair?